everyone, this is Riccardo Mancini and this is WLOG, and this is Skies Above Britain. Finally I got it, and I got it on the table. Now, a little premise. My Italian viewers already know that during my usual on the table segment where I teach the rules, explain the rules, for this game I adopted a totally different approach. I didn't record a video in which I thought, well, combat works like that, movement works like that, interception works like that. No, I just began playing in front of my camera, a full playthrough of my own campaign. So I was risking life. My pilots, it was not a test squadron. No. This was my campaign. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know which surprises the game had for me, how the engagement would come out, and all the consequences of that video will be applied to my own personal campaign. So I was risking the lives of my pilots. This is because I wanted, for two reasons. First of all, I wanted to give a true experience of the game, a complete experience of the game to my Italian viewers. You, my international friends, have a lot of videos in English, and there are so many playthrough on YouTube of this game, which lends itself perfectly well to playthrough because it is a highly narrative game. And I want to thank especially Dave's Gaming Cave and Point Dexter, because I've seen a lot of excellent playthroughs, but their own two playthroughs were very, very useful for me to understand which was the tone I had to adopt in making my own video. And they are excellent videos. Among all the others, you will find a lot of excellent and incredible playthrough videos. Dave's Gaming Cave and Point Dexter were just the two that I used the most, and I wanted to mention and thank them for their work, as always. And I applied the lessons learned in their own playthrough to my own video for my Italian viewers. A second reason I use that approach, that I think I will use, actually I will use in the future for other games, is that the gradual learning program of this game is very good at teaching you the single pieces of the games. There are many pieces in this game, and surely it does a much better work than what I would have done in a series of videos trying to dismantle that great program in small confused bits and pieces. It would have been totally useless. So if you really want to learn how to play the game, use the gradual program, the gradual learning program, and use the playthrough videos to put it all together, and this is the way. And after that, just play the small scenarios, the small introductory scenarios, and then go down with the more complex one, with the more elaborated ones, and go on, and you will learn to play this game in, I wouldn't say in minutes, but in not such a great time, in a couple of weeks. Yes, it takes this long, but it is a great experience. So this is sorry, I hope that the microphone looks good. Let's hope that it works. So yes, this is a fantastic, a great experience. And this is okay. Let's get into some detail. I made that video because I wanted to give a representation of the entire game flow, okay, to my viewers, because with the gradual learning program, the only problem is that you learn the small bits and pieces. Maybe it could be a bit difficult to tie all those pieces together. But when you do that from an historiographical point of view, of historical representation, you have a complete representation of an entire patrol mission and the campaign and the evolution of a squadron, and but also the tactics. Using an Hurricane or a Spitfire is a totally different thing, and this game represents that very well. It also represents very well the different tactics, why the initial RAF tactics were obsolete, the big formation was obsolete, facing with the Schwarm, which is maximum flexible German Luftwaffe Schwarm tactics, and how progressively the RAF pilot began using the finger 4 formation, but it was not perfect. It was more an improvisation, and so it was not as well oiled, as well streamlined as the German pilots were using that since years. You have to be careful in your fuel and ammunition management, but also you have to be careful in your pilot management, because your own goal will not be to shoot down fighters, enemy fighters. This is not a video game. This is a game about the Battle of Britain, the historical Battle of Britain, and the historical defense by the RAF in the Battle of Britain, during the Battle of Britain. So your main goal is to shoot down bombers, not fighters. Yes, bombers, but even more disperse their formations, because, and this is tragic, you will not be able to stop bomber formations. It is impossible. There are just too many of them. Your own goal is to disperse them, to shoot down some bombers, to create attrition, to disperse their formation so that the German bombardments will be less effective. But those bombardments will be done. The bombs will fall on Britain. You have the responsibility to minimize the damage, but also you have the responsibility to keep your pilots alive, because it is totally useless to get a single great patrol where you do a lot of damage, but half of your squadron is in the hospital or in the cemetery. Why? Because your campaign will be over. And even if just risking a little more to get that last 109 kill that makes your pilot an ace and unlocks some very useful special abilities, yes, the tension is there. The tension is there, and in totally historical tactics, as everything here, the different stations, the sun position, the defensive circle of the 110, the Messerschmitt 110s, the first missions that were more on the coast, the last one, the evolution of the campaign, it's all here. But coming to the experience and the game flow, there are phases and sub-phases, but it is also, everything is very manageable. The complexity here is what I like to say, this is a completely non-linear simulation. There are a lot of different randomness levels, and they are interconnected. You have pieces on the map, outside the map. Some use these checkboxes, others are free movement, there are abstractions here and there. Lots of stuff happening all at once, okay? But it is not mechanically complex, because the single mechanics are very simple. Interception, I roll one die, duel, okay, I fight the duels, okay, I draw one card. But how much stuff is in this card? You have so many different things in this. Okay, there is a 110 coming head on my section. I shoot down one of their fighters. Their fighters get out, but one of my own fighters has lost contact. I don't know if I will recover him. And then, oh my God, another rocket 110 come behind me on my tail. Oh, in just one card. So yes, lots of rules, there's more rules, but it is all very streamlined very perfectly, tied together. So the complexity here is not mechanical, okay? There are not modifiers and submodifiers, 6.5, 0.4, 0.3. No, the complexity here is organic. The complexity is in the situation. You're not, okay, oh, how do I intercept bombers when I'm out of the sun? Oh, I have to roll on this table, not on this one. I have +2, +3. Oh, let's do this so that I get that -1 modifier. There's nothing like that. You are not reasoning like that. You're reasoning, okay, I have to get high to get a better angle. If I come from the flank, it is safer, but it is also less effective. You don't know how much this is more or less effective. The designer knows to say there is not a single strategy. You have to improvise, just like in reality. You have to use your own intuition. You have to understand the situation. Some strategies will work perfectly in one situation and not in another. Why? Even the designer doesn't know why, because the randomness is too complex. But that is a reality. You don't have tables and other tables in reality. You have experience. You have to try. And sometimes you think you have done everything wrong, and maybe you did everything right, but everything comes wrong, because that is reality. That is the experience. In experience, the duels, they are not very elaborated affairs, okay? They are not, okay, I do one turn to the right, one to the left, okay, my plane is more maneuverable. It is not like that. They are like the duels in Dunkirk, you know? Nolan's film that I really love. One pass, bam, 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 oh, and he's on me, I'm on him, and 1, 2, 3, turn right, okay, I have it, turn left, split, slip, let's put someone behind him, evade, turn, split second decisions, one decision, one pass, boom, bam, 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 and then the enemies, they are not there. This is exactly like Dunkirk, but exactly like the Battle of Britain movie with Michael Caine and Christopher Plummer, the classic movie that I love to. You will get attached to your pilots. This is another part of the experience. And they will become familiar, and you will not be so willing to risk them, their lives. Even though the green ones, you will want to protect them, those poor guys, little boys that have almost no training, and suddenly they find themselves with 110s on their tail, and without any ammo and with no fuel, possibly because they made a stupid thing in the middle of the dogfight and you don't know how to save them. There is this kind of tension, and but also being a solitaire and being the fact that the German is managed only through tables and cards, you have that Dunkirk feeling once again of an not inhuman enemy, dehumanized, because also the Germans will do silly stuff. Don't worry, you just send a couple of Spitfires against the escort, and an entire escort station goes away because they are taken by panic. It happens, it happened historically, but also they are unknown, they are invisible. You don't know, you don't see them until it was almost too late. You see them only when they're fighting against you and they're damaging your planes. Then they go away. One pass, bam, they disappeared. You don't know why, you don't know what happened. This is fantastic, absolutely incredibly narrative, incredibly dramatic. As for accessibility, let's get back to the game itself. As I've said, it is elaborated, not incredibly complex. You have to follow the gradual learning program. If you try, as I did in my first read, try to read the entire rule book. I was on a plane when I went, and it was a bit surreal, but I was flying on a plane to a wargame convention, but it was a bit surreal. But if you try to read that from page 1 to page 64, I don't know what the rulebook and the situation manual, the scenario manual are available on the GMT website. If you try to do that, you will not understand a thing. You will say, oh no, this is too complex. You will be discouraged. Do not do this. Read the first 10 pages, and fly the first 2 or 3 introductory scenarios, but they're just 10 minutes of first. Do that, because there are small bricks that you learn and then you put in a great building that will be your own understanding of the game. Also, I found very useful these cards, these 8 cards. This is the system that Stukajo inaugurated for RAF. This is not a case. They are also on the GMT website. They're very, very good. They explain you the entire sequence, but also if you don't know what to use them, to download them and print and cut them, you have player rates, you have lots of stuff. Maybe a bit too much stuff. I have a lot of small pieces even there, but when everything clicks together, it works. Absolutely works. Maybe just one thing on the interface, if you add small check boxes, because I used in my video a wooden pawn to, okay, now in phase 1 review, if you, even with the cards, maybe small check boxes. Where am I? It is a solitaire after all. It is easy to get lost, but small things. Great. The tables, the interface is very similar. It's not a case to another Jeremy White's games that is Atlantic Chase. It is a great game. This game also has co-author Gina Willis, and she has done an incredible job. The visual interface, the graphics, very readable, and perfect. You have even small notes, references to pages of the handbook. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Seems overwhelming at first, but after a couple of plays you find everything where you want. The only thing is that the rule book, maybe it is a bit discursive. It has this structure because it follows the gradual learning program, so it does not begins with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but begins dogfight and then builds up to bomber interception, to bomber attacks, then to interceptions, then to the ride itself, then to the campaign. It is a bit seems in reverse, but with all these references it is very easy. Okay, Escal suppression table, I have to go on page 31. Easy. Lost contact, page 4. Easy. So this is great, and it works. It is not a very long game. This might seem strange because it is a long game. But why am I saying this? Because a single mission is absolutely calibrated on the time of a single gaming session. 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours and a half at the maximum for if the this is a later phase with the targets much deeper, so you uncover, you reveal much more markers here in the inbound vectors, but it is not. It is very well calibrated. If you have less time, you can just generate with the situation manual a random dogfight or a random interception, but the main mode of the game is that in a gaming section you make one mission, one patrol, one entire patrol, and then you put everything back together. The setup is not very long, there are not so many pieces at the beginning, and then you write down the results and then you get on with your campaign. Easy. It's not so it is absolutely not so difficult. Why? Because there are a lot of hidden complexities solutions, just like my dear friend Angiolino, the author of Wings of Glory, theorizes. For example, you have a different distribution of inbound vectors, so the inbound vectors in the different stages of the campaign. So in the first stages it is much more probable that the raid will be on the coast. In the later stages of the campaign they will be here more deep, for example, just with the different distribution of the number of inbound vectors in every single area. Okay, so there are lots of these small tricks. Okay, so it is very flexible, very manageable. It is also it has a high replayability because lots of different stuff happen, lots of decision making, lots really lots of narrative tension. every single patrol will be different, and then you'll have your own pilots which will be attached, and lots of stuff will happen to them, good and most of the times bad stuff, all of these in an environment that is historically plausible, historically believable, where with a lot of detail. There's not even detail, you will not have to directly manage that detail, and there is the complexity. The game will manage that detail, that complexity, and will pop out that detail only when it is necessary. So this is surprisingly easy after a couple of patrols to manage this game, but you will always have the feeling, the right feeling, that is a very deep, very elaborated, very rich, very content-rich game. As a solitaire game, it is not a casual solitaire game, okay? Even if it can be with just simple dogfights that you randomly generate for a half hour of just fun, but everything is aimed at the campaign mode, and it works very well. It is surprisingly manageable, but it is not for the casual player because it requires a bit of patience, of dedication to understand. But it is not a game that, like Rough, for example, requires to stay on the table for more sessions, for more evenings, for more days, etc. And however, I did not mention Rough just by chance, because in the this is the optional rules booklet with lots of more stuff, more interesting stuff, and this is not, understandably, this is not on the website, but what it has, it is here, point 7, Rough Tying Guide. There is a mode to play Rough as the strategic game, and of course the Lion mode of Rough, and this one has to resolve the tactical engagements of Rough. I don't know if this is pronounced Rough or Rough. In Italian, my first impulse is to pronounce it as Rough, but probably it is RIF. Probably is more correct. Okay, so this kind of game. This kind of game, it is not a cheap game, but it's not overly expensive, and there's lots of content that really justifies the price. The detail, the interface, the quality of the components, a very nice board, good counters that are easily clippable too also, and a great interface, good cards. I sleeved them, but they're quite good cards, wooden blocks, so lots of stuff here. An entire booklet of optional rules. There is tons of replayability of content here in that box. It is a sandbox, absolutely, and is a surprisingly narrative, because when I first read it, I said, okay, this is a bit procedural, maybe it is not impossible, it is a bit procedural, sequential. But when I began playing it, I found a lot of storytelling, a lot of narration, a lot of stories, of events, of actions. Sometimes it really looked like, it felt like a scene from Dunkirk or the Battle of Britain. This was the kind of experience. It was a very cinematic experience. Maybe you have your green pilot, and he does something foolish and is in danger, and you want to save him, and you don't know why, when 4 1/10 appear on his tail. Okay, this is that kind of experience. In conclusion, if you want a game that tells you the dynamics of the Battle of Britain, and also makes you feel as you are there, absolutely, you're a squadron commander with all of your pilots to manage and to let them survive, because that is your ultimate goal, you got it. I don't like to say, oh, this is the definitive game on this subject. No, I don't like to say that, and I'm not even the kind of YouTube content creator that discovers the greatest game of them all every single week, okay? But this game, I can tell you that this is a classic. This will be a classic. This will become like Ambush or Battle's Best. I'm sure of this. And you have that feeling when you play that game. There will be other games on the Battle of Britain. There will be other good games, great games on the Battle of Britain. But they will have to work very, very hard to go beyond Skies Above Britain. And this is one of my favorite solitaire games of all time. I have no troubles in saying that, and even one of my most beloved games. My favorite games of them all, in total, of my gaming experiences. I have to say, I love Atlantic Chase. I find this a little step more than Atlantic Chase, and I know that is very much, my Italian viewers know how much I love Atlantic Chase. Wow, but that is fantastic. That is absolutely great. You will have to manage how much you press your attack, the survival of your squadrons, and your squadron, lots of sudden things happening. The perfect strategy that you have found in one play, in the next play it doesn't really work. There's nothing wrong with that, but in that moment it doesn't work. So you'll have to improvise. You're constantly improvising in a totally plausible historical environment. Sincerely, I don't know what more you can ask from a simulation game. Involvement, detail, playability, replayability, and everything is great. I don't know what else to say. If not, this is a game that requires patience. It must be approached with the gradual learning program. Once again, do not try to approach it in a traditional manner. Maybe watch some YouTube playthroughs. Once again, I advise you to see Poindexter and Davis Gaming Cave, but all the other great playthroughs you will find on YouTube. But try this game, really. There will be a vessel module coming out, I think, even a tabletop simulator module, but this really deserves to be in your collection. If you're even passing, even if you have a very passing interest, very vague interest in World War II and in aerial warfare, if you, like me, love the Battle of Britain, are deeply interested in the Battle of Britain, this must not be missed. This is not a game to be missed. Really, it requires patience, but it really repays everything. So this was my opinion on this great game. It will be totally different from everything else you have in your own collection. So yes, this was Skies Above Britain, and this is Riccardo Masini. I say goodbye to every one of you. Thank you for having seen my video. If you want, subscribe to my channel, etc. There will be other videos in English, or anyway, we'll see each other around. Goodbye. See you the next time, and as always, remember, don't be scared. It's just 4 games. Ciao.